Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today's Saturday, it is Eric Larson Day. We are looking at Wildcats number 14, which, warning, there's continuity issues galore in this episode relating to Savage Dragon and the continuity of that series. So, Image X Month happens, right? And that's why we get Jim Lee doing Savage Dragon number 13, and then we get Eric Larson doing Wildcats number 14. Eric Larson was kind of disowned the issue by Jim Lee within the Savage Dragon continuity. And in my mind, at least up to a certain point, what he had done on Wildcats 14 almost and basically replaced Jim Lee's issue 13. So I, for a long while, kind of considered Wildcats number 14 as Savage Dragon number 13, and maybe Savage Dragon 13 by Jim Lee basically is Wildcats number 14, right? You can flip those around since, you know, one guest stars in the other's book and vice versa. It wouldn't really make much difference, and this definitely fits more into Savage Dragon continuity than maybe what Jim Lee did with Savage Dragon number 13. Now, what comes in and complicates that is that eventually Eric Larson did do his own issue 13, which I have the original copy of here, okay, which I just received a couple of days ago from my order from my comic book shop. Got here a little late for me to actually review it in the order that I was doing the Savage Dragon books. Luckily, I had this issue in a trade paperback, and that's what I covered for my review of the Savage Dragon issue 13 by Eric Larson, right? Which he did to replace the Savage Dragon issue by Jim Lee that he just doesn't like, right? And doesn't really work well with the continuity of Savage Dragon in his world. So what I didn't know, and what my buddy Robert Norton let me know, he's got his own channel out there, so check out Robert Norton. If you're into comics as well, you'll probably appreciate his channel and his reviews as well, if you like the stuff I'm doing here. And he mentioned to me that this issue here, right, is actually different from the one I reviewed in the trade paperback. It's the same story content and all, but there's actually added bits to that story that aren't in this issue here. So I'm not quite sure exactly where all this continuity stands in the mind of Eric Larson. So I'm going to try to review these next few issues as best as I can and not make it get too convoluted or confusing for anyone. But, you know, I guess that just goes to show that when you're working with creator-owned characters, maybe mixing them up and guest starring them and changing books and stuff is not the best idea if you're someone like Eric Larson, who has a pretty tight continuity and is the only guy producing his book, right? His is the longest standing Image comic that's been continually published and created by the same guy. So, you know, I guess I can understand him being a little bit proprietary about it and going and trying to fix things that Jim Lee maybe mucked about with. So we're not going to review this issue. It's pretty similar to last week's review in as much as the general story content. Why I want to bring it up here is there's, you know, to confuse me even more, there are kind of overlapping pages in these books, right? So I'll start the issue 14 from the beginning, but real quick, if I kind of go through this, right, we've got this same shot here twice in two different comics. I guess it's great because you don't have to redraw those pages, but there's some weird overlaps going on that I'm not going to try to explain, right? You can see that's basically the same page, and there's other pages that are like that as well. I'm not going to try to explain it away because I don't think I even understand it that well myself, but did want to point it out for those of you who are following, and maybe you're following Savage Dragon. Maybe you guys are huge fans of Savage Dragon, and you can explain it to me even better in the comments. If you can, please let me know if you have any info tidbits or just interesting facts about these issues and why everything's kind of slightly convoluted. And what exactly, you know, what order am I supposed to read it in, and what am I supposed to take away from it? Yeah, those are my questions. And now we can start with the review. So again, Wildcats 14, I'm telling you, I've long considered as, you know, Savage Dragon issue 13. So I don't know exactly where it fits in that whole continuity. So it's all, you know, I remember talking about this in an early review. There's almost like 3 different versions, and now maybe 4 different versions of issue 13, right? There's Jim Lee issue 13, there's Wildcats 14, there's the issue of Savage Dragon 13 that Eric Larson redid, and then there's a trade paperback version of issue 13, which is a little bit different. So there's literally 4 versions of the same issue. Very confusing. Yeah, so anyone who can clear that up for me, please let me know. Maybe, you know, sometimes I've got Eric Larson on Facebook. Maybe I'll just write to him and see if he can help me out there and give me a bit of backstory as to what happened. If that works out, I'll let you guys know maybe in the next episode, or if I got any info from him. So writer, penciler, inker, Eric Larson, letters, Chris Eliopoulos, editor, Janie Wong, colorist, Ruben Rude, and Antonia Cole. Now, these Image X Months book, just remember, like, it's basically, you know, again, I'll call this Savage Dragon 13 because it's the same exact creative team doing Wildcats, and then Jim Lee's creative team from Wildstorm is doing all of Savage Dragon. So it's like, you know, the whole creative team is still the same. So we've got the Wildcats here on this first page, introducing us, if we don't know about them, in the Savage Dragon universe, you know, giving us a quick run through. The kind of, you know, typical Marvel way team shot. They've just beat some bad guys, you know. Eric Larson, I think, is is having a bit of a laugh with his Zealot's design here. Just how bare ass she is. That's quite a weird amount of hatching on the ass there, I think. Eric Larson is a great artist, just maybe sometimes does some weird stuff. That would be one of those instances. And this is kind of a fun issue just for the fact that Eric Larson just generally does a better job story-wise with comics than any of the Wildstorm guys. So the story is actually pretty interesting here. I think we learn more about the Wildcats and their personalities in this issue than we ever do in the Jim Lee stuff. This is the first time we see what Maul looks like, you know, when he's not a huge purple guy. We see Warblade without his costume here, his green hair's out. You know, I don't think we ever saw that in the Jim Lee issues, or if we did, it was very fleeting. So we've kind of got them, you know, hanging out at home. But we do have a quick transformation here of Maul into Maul. Is his name Jeremy or something? I don't even care. And then we've got what is clearly a Fantastic Four tribute here of very similar to a shot Jack Kirby did of the Thing flying this weird kind of Kirby-esque flying machine, right, that you can see here. Larson, I'm sure you know, he's got a lot of Kirby influence in his work, and in this image here I'm seeing the Kirby and the Walt Simonson as well, pretty strongly. Looks good though, good stuff. And then just a quick little shout out at Vanguard here, kind of question, what's going on? Funny little joke. So as I said, you know, now since it's a highbrow book, we've got the highbrow characters, Freak Force, now introduced into the Wildcats book. And for some reason, Maul wants to fight Mighty Man here. Not exactly quite sure why. Haven't you done enough damage, huh? Or did you want to finish the job, Mighty Man? Oh yeah, so basically in the Savage Dragon storyline, these characters don't know yet that the nurse is actually who turns into Mighty Man. So he's thinking that Mighty Man's trying to hurt the nurse, if I'm not mistaken, from having read this a while back. Maul will smash. So Eric Larson's no dupe, and he knows that Maul is basically just the Hulk, right? So we get another Slam Bam Action Fest from Eric Larson. Always great with the dynamics. The use of the dynamic lines, the speed lines here. He always has a good way of, you know, making every shot very interesting. Interesting angles, interesting dynamics, movement, perspective. This is a good one with one vanishing point, right? And there's our double page splash that doubles in issue 13 as well. So there's like literal crossover between this issue of Wildcats and issue 13 of Savage Dragon by Eric Larson. You know, really what it is, you could almost call it just a crossover between Freak Force and Wildcats. That's what all these issues are. Savage Dragon obviously involved as well, right? Grifter, what the hell are you doing? These are the good guys you're pounding on. Call off your dogs or cats. There's been a mistake. Damn. Dragon met Grifter in Savage Dragon 13. He sure did. So, of course, typical superhero misunderstanding. Everyone shakes hands. We're friends now. And we finish off with kind of a... I don't know why this was a thing in the 90s, like superheroes on the beach or like swimsuit issues. Right, there's a whole thing there. I guess it kind of started with the X-Men. And, you know, maybe Eric Larson's kind of having a laugh here, kind of saying, you know, the Wildcats are basically kind of like the X-Men. So I'm going to have them do that X-Men thing where they hang out at the beach. There was an issue of Wildcats, maybe a few issues before this, where they're all on a cruise ship or something, if I remember correctly. So maybe Eric Larson saw that and is just kind of incorporating that into it. And there you go. So now Maul has figured out that, so his name is Jeremy. He's figured out that the nurse turns into Mighty Man, right? But they kind of like were flirting and like each other, right? Do you want to talk about it? You're kind of cute when you're not purple. I don't think so. I'm still getting over seeing Margot again. And you, well, I mean, you can change into a guy. It's just too weird. Oh, I guess it is at that. I understand. Sigh. Poop. And kind of an interesting shot for Erik Larsen to leave us on there. I guess he's implying what Nurse had in mind with Maul, hopefully in his human form. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to why I just said that. If you know Maul's powers, you know why I said that. And here we got Cat Calls. Erik Larsen speaks about Image X Month. So I'm going to read this because we might actually discover a little bit of the behind the scenes of these issues and the continuity and everything I've been complaining about since the beginning and how confusing this is. So I first heard of Image X Month at one of our Image meetings. Apparently the other Image boys had been talking over the idea with Tony Libido and Larry Martyr while I'd been blissfully drawing away on the Savage Dragon. While I'd get the occasional letter from a fan asking if Tom McFarlane, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Jim Valentino, or Rob Liefeld and I could switch books for an issue, I never gave it too much thought. I was perfectly content drawing the Savage Dragon. We'd all left Marvel. One of the reasons was that was so that we could write and draw what we wanted to. The idea that we'd intentionally do otherwise seemed ludicrous to me. I was doing what I wanted. Why do anything else? You'd hear I was facing my 5 enthusiastic partners in crime who all thought it was a cool idea. Cool, huh? The kids would like it. One of them piped up, and that's usually what gets me. And I would assume that's Tom McFarlane. That seems to be one of his lines. The kids like it. The kid in me is always trying to please the fans, give them something new and exciting. There was no other company where the creators were so closely associated with their creations. This was a stunt that only Image could pull off, and fans would like it. It had been suggested that the guys who did team books should do single characters, and the guys who did single characters should do teams. I gotta say, that kind of makes sense. That didn't make the idea any more appealing, obviously, because you had to draw tons of more characters. I like doing a single character. There's more time and space to delve into their personalities, plus it keeps things manageable. I chose to do a single character for a reason. For one thing, it's also easier to draw. All those damn costumes with their different boots and belts and gloves. How do you keep it all straight? Not my idea of a good time. The choosing up began, and I soon found myself with Wildcats to draw. To be honest, I was a bit dismayed. Having followed Tom McFarlane in both Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man, I knew the pressures of drawing a book after a popular creator had moved on. Knowing Jim Lee was taking an extended vacation from the title and comics after Wildcats 13, I knew he'd be a tough act to follow. Erik Larsen seems to constantly be getting stuck in these kinds of situations, right? Still, I'm always up for a challenge, especially if there's a chance to do something new and exciting. At the time, we thought it would be cool if readers didn't know who did which book. One of the things I miss most about comics is the unexpected. It's become extremely difficult to pull off a surprise anymore with all of the ordering information that's available through distributors and fan magazines. I like not knowing. Then retailers started to grumble. They didn't know how to order the books. It's no secret that Image comics don't all sell the same and different creators are more popular than others. The retailers were in a panic. They didn't want to get stuck with comics they couldn't sell. Then Wizard announced who was doing which book and retailers were put at ease. But Wizard was wrong. Out of the 6 books, they'd managed to get only 1 right. In the end, we spilled the beans to the retailers. With any luck, not all of the information had been filtered down to the fans, and there are still some surprises in store for you. It never dawned on me that I'd ever have to draw this book. Jim Lee and Brandon Choi have developed an involved, complicated book with an enormous cast and characters with varied costumes and origins. In doing research for this comic, I was impressed by the intricacies of plot, costumes, and characters. Summing them up in one issue story and leaving room for some action was a challenge. In all honesty, it was kind of fun. The characters are pretty cool, but I still haven't got a handle on drawing all those damn costumes. My hat's off to Jim Lee for making it look easy. If you enjoyed this comic, you might want to give Freak Force or the Savage Dragon a shot. In any case, I hope you got a kick out of reading my little rampage through Jim's neighborhood. I know it's not what he would have done, and there are maybe some places where I missed the mark completely, but heck, I only had 1 issue to get used to the guys. I look forward to seeing what the rest of the boys turn out. Thanks for reading, Erik Larsen. So, I mean, it kind of gives you a good inside look as to how it actually worked, but you know, as to his actual thoughts on the whole thing, that would come later. And you could probably look that up and find that stuff on Google, see his actual thoughts, and maybe explain a little bit more why he came in and felt he had to fix things continuity-wise in and around Wildcats number 14 and Savage Dragon number 13. So So there you go. That is my review for this alternate version of Savage Dragon 13 by Erik Larson, actually Wildcats number 14. If you have any information on this issue that could help me out a little bit with the continuity, leave messages and thoughts in the comments below. If you're still watching and you're subscribed, thank you so much for still being there. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please like and subscribe below. It only takes a second. Really helps the channel out, helps get us out there to other like-minded people who are into the same kind of stuff that we are, namely comic books. So everyone out there, thanks for watching and have an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at kingcomics.ca, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Like! Subscribe! Like! Subscribe!